guys, this tutorial's on a couple of different things. The first thing is the use of white noise to thicken up a sound and make it sound a lot more real, because you might have quite a underwhelming sound that you need to sound quite like bigger, and by adding in like layer of white noise underneath, filtering it at high frequencies and just like having that kind of like low mid and sub white noise, it can really make it sound a lot heavier, like make something sound a lot heavier than it actually is. The second thing I want to look at is how to implement that by using sidechaining and an expander, which I'll get onto later. The concept is basically that when the noise needs to be used by a sound, it will automatically happen with this setup, and that gives you the freedom to basically put any more sounds in that need to be of relatively similar size, or they're on the same object, and it'll always be processed in that way. And I've found it speeds up the workflow a hell of a lot. Right, so the first thing I'll have a look at is the white noise itself. This is the it's not the finished sound. What I've been working on is this Dead Space 2 door, and I needed the sound of a big heavy metal door opening up. And what I did basically is I got a bunch of different sound. I've got a baking tray, just random metal clanky noises. I'll have a listen to just some of these. Just crap, really. And a kitchen knife. Just a clang from a kitchen knife. And it just if you listen to it, it's underwhelming to say the least. Now, I tried a bunch of things. I tried pitching it down really far, and layering even more than that. I've actually reduced the layers now, but I had more layers than this before, and it just wasn't getting heavier sounding, and I didn't have any sort of big metal things to bang about in my apartment. So I was almost I was almost at a loss. But after I discovered the white noise trick, this is the result. That just sounds so much heavier. So I'll go over exactly what I did there. I won't discuss the sidechaining and things right now, but what I've got is a tone generator, and that is generating white noise. This can also generate a bunch of other things, sine waves and stuff, and pink noise. I've not tried that. And that's all that's doing. I didn't really adjust this. I just turned it on, and that was it. The second thing I did was, you can see the tone generator is currently going, but it's actually being stopped by this expander. I'll get onto that later. That's why it's not me. It is making noise, but it's not getting past the expander at the minute. But yeah, the white noise is going. I got rid of the highs, because if I increase that high end, hang on, let me take note of where that's sitting, just above 500, right? Okay. If I increase that high end and play it back, doesn't sound great. Go away. Okay, so 600. And it blends in. It sounds like it's part of that door, for lack of a better way of explaining it. So I've got that. I've got a binaural pan. All this is doing is making it go to mono. If I play it without the mono, not only does the white noise become much more apparent, but it also doesn't feel like that door is in front of you anymore. And for the sake of the video, it needs to feel like it's in front of you. I want the mono to make the white noise feel like it is part of that door that is in front of you, and it's blending in with the rest of these tracks that are in front of you. Okay, so I mean that's the basic idea of the white noise. Now you can apply this through like MIDI. Really, I mean, if you assign get a synth and put a white noise channel on it and press the MIDI note at the same time the stuff happens, and then adjust the attack and release and things like that. Yeah, you can do it that way, but that's a much longer way, like much more long-winded way of doing it. So, onto the subject of sidechaining and expanders. I'm going to assume you roughly know what sidechaining is. Basically, what you're doing when you sidechain something is you are taking the output of one track and having it control the parameters of another track, basically. So in this case, what I've got is, if I get rid of all these again, just to go away. Is that everything I need? Yeah. Okay, cool. Now it's cleaned that up a fair bit. So we've got the tone generator. This is my noise channel. You can see it's called noise. This is the sole purpose of this channel is to generate the noise. So it starts with the tone generator. It goes to the EQ, which is getting rid of all the high end, the pan, which is making it mono, and then it comes into the expander. But the expander isn't letting the sound through. If I take this dock, well, I turn dock on, it will, but I'll ignore that. So that's what our noise sounds like. Now what's happening is, basically, this is side-chained to the bus of the outer mechanical sounds, which is all the clangs of the door moving. So whenever, what the expander will do is whenever the sounds in this bus surpass the threshold setting of the expander, it will let the white noise pass through. So it's kind of like a gate, but it's not as, it's more variable in a gate. It's kind of, expanders are weird. They work like, how do I explain? They act like a compressor, but they work like a gate. So if you think of a gate, I don't want to get too into this because there'll be far better expander tutorials out there. But if you think of a gate, if you've got a noise that's up here, and say this is the gate's threshold, when that noise goes below that threshold, the gate just cuts it off. It's gone. You can adjust the attack so it cuts off slower, but the point is when it goes past that threshold, it just disappears. Now with the expander, you can think of the expander as basically, as the noise gets louder, the expander slowly brings it in. And say the noise was hovering around here, the expander's level would hover around the same area, so it moves with it. It's variable in that way. It's not just a kind of like on-off. If the level was to fall below the threshold, then it wouldn't just disappear. It would stay at the level, like the noise would stay with the same level as the trigger, which in this case is the mechanical sounds. So, after that terrible explanation of what an expander does, hopefully not terrible, I hope you kind of understand what's going on. Basically, when these outer mechanisms trigger, you will see the expander release and let the white noise through. And then it goes off again. And that's pretty much it. And what I can do is, I've got this routed so that I can turn this down, and we will just hear what noise is being let through. So, it sounds horrible like that, but when you blend in the actual, the rest of the sounds, it sits nicely underneath it. And when you think the sounds before, they were like this. Before today, I was putting in MIDI notes with white noise, basically, and adjusting the attack and release, and it takes ages. It takes so much time. But with this method, it automatically does it. I started off with just this clank, these bolts coming down here, and that was it. And then I thought to myself, well, surely if that works, I can put in even more, which I did. I just put in, basically copy-pasted these, rearranged them a little bit, added some more of the metal clang sounds, and just moved them over here. And they worked as well, because I already pretty much had that, I've gonna mess this up again. I already had that, pretty much that preset of, with the expander and stuff, so the noise now comes through when it needs to come through. So I don't really know what else to say. I had a fun day. I really geeked out with this one. And I thought I'd not just for you, but also for me, so I can remember this sort of technique in the future. Yeah, don't know what else to say on that matter. So you can really, basically this is almost like a preset of some kind. Now I can throw in any sort of mechanical sounds, and they'll have the same underlying noise, and the amount of noise let through on the expander will adjust to the level of the mechanical sounds that I have triggering it, basically. And it should, theoretically, automatically mix itself and automatically make these terribly flimsy, unusable sounds of metal into something really realistic sounding. So yeah, this door isn't done yet. There's a lot more I want to add to it, but that's. I think we can all agree that has gone from sounding like kitchen knives scraping together to a massive door opening. Yeah. So leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I guess. I don't put stuff out often. Yeah, I hope this is a really random tutorial, but I hope it helps somebody out there with something. So have a nice day. Bye bye.